The Ravens Flock presents The Black Files, an uncensored interview and review podcast for all geek fandom.
Welcome everybody, friends and pals, guys and gals, boys and girls around the world. Pop a squad, pop open a cold one with all your friends. It is Monday. We are opening up the week in quite possibly one of the most momentous weeks in the history of cinema, and we hope that you're listening in to this brand new episode of The Black Files live at Holiday Matsuri.
There's so many nerds. There's nerds everywhere.
This is Juan and Arauz, one of the heads of Ravens Flock. Welcome to the uncensored interview and review podcast of the Ravens Flock, The Black Files. I've got Jose Casabona to my right.
Hello, everybody. How you doing?
We got a special guest with us, one of our friends from Symphonic Pheenix Force. Switcha is actually with us on this recording for as long as he can be. How you doing, man?
Hey guys, what's going on? Switcha is in the building. Woohoo!
What's up?
Matsuri.
What's up?
Yep, we're recording this Saturday night at Holiday Matsuri, the Orlando World Center Marriott in Orlando, Florida, and we're going to be discussing the impending release of Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker.
Dude,
and
this is going to be big. This is the ninth,
the
ninth edition.
official installment of the Star Wars saga of the Skywalker family soap opera. And I got to tell you, I'm not ready for this, man.
Listen, as a person who has enjoyed Star Wars for as long as I could possibly remember, and me being also one who's not really critical of, movies and everything, because everybody's had their opinion about the last two that's come out, and they're all like, this, that. But for me, I always say I'm very Paula Abdul when it comes to, judging my movies, so I just love everything. And so I'm just ready, and I'm hyped. I'm just like, give me some more of this Star Wars. I'm ready for this.
Right.
I know what you mean, man. I can understand and sympathize with that statement. It's just but for me, I've got a deeper investment in this shit because, and you know what? We're going to go ahead and get our disclosures out of the way. This is an uncensored interview and review podcast. That means that if we discuss anything, there'll be spoilers, except, of course, for The Rise of Skywalker. We're observing the 2-week no-spoiler rule as laid down by our Holy Lord and Savior, Mark Hamill. However, there will be swearing. We'll swear our ass off because that's just part of language, and we may have opinions that will clash with your worldview. So if that's something that you don't appreciate or can hang with, and of course those opinions only belong to the individual giving it, then go ahead and tune out. Otherwise,
look at that sexy ass Eevee over there.
Whoop whoop!
We got sexy Pokemon walking past, and it's a dude dressed as a sexy Eevee.
That being said, I'm glad you brought out the disclaimer, especially since we're going to be dealing with hardcore negative Star Wars fans.
You better believe that. But you know what? This is a momentous occasion for this started in 1977. This thing is 42 years old now, and it's been going on this whole time, and people are nothing but love and strong emotions for Star Wars. How about yourself, man?
42
Listen, I absolutely
years
love it.
old.
And I think it's pretty crazy about how long Star Wars has been around, and then the fact that we got babies, babies who weren't even their moms weren't even thought of when Star Wars first started, and they're walking around dressed up as good old Kylo Ren and stuff, and fucking it's pretty wild. And for me, as being a first-time daddy myself, I'm ready to dress my little boy up as Baby Yoda. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's pretty great and it's amazing. And once again, I'm definitely ready for this movie. I just gotta make sure that my boys don't watch it without me, because they'll leave me. I know they will.
No, I hear you,
I know
man.
what you mean, man.
Now, Juan, speaking personally, you've been a Star Wars fan since the late 90s, since 96, 97?
Right, exactly. I'm one of the generation that started as being a Star Wars fan as the special edition came out. Some folks didn't like it, but that's how I was first introduced to Star Wars. I then managed to catch, as I was growing up, the original uncut versions of the Star Wars trilogy, the original trilogy. That's Star Wars Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. And I can understand why some folks were put off by the CG updates and stuff, but I guess it goes back to authorial intent. At the end of the day, George Lucas owned the story. He can change it however he wants to make it fit his vision. And while we might not agree with it, but you can't help but respect his conviction to himself. And I guess that's just my opinion on that. But
I gotcha.
I'm glad that they actually fixed up Jabba the Hutt in there, because in the first original special edition, he looked like a blob of Jello. His eyes were translucent as hell, and when they have Han Solo step over his tail, his eyes are going cross-eyed and they look googly. Actually, I wanted to know. Did you want to go ahead and jump in? And we have another friend of ours, friend of the Ravens flock, Scarlett.
Hey, you introduce yourself.
I'm tongue-tied, and I'm
I'm Samantha. I go by Necrotic Nymph Cosplay.
Necrotic Nymph. Thank you. My brain is like, because I'm remembering Scarlet Nymph, and then like you changed it to Necrotic Nymph, and I'm like, okay, it's been a very long time since we actually seen you, but this I think this is the first time you've been on one of our shows. Is it?
Mm-hmm. I believe so.
Joe, a little closer, because I don't know if I got it. There you go. Actually, why don't you hand her the mic?
You got
Yes,
it.
yes, thank you. And you've been cosplaying for forever.
15 years, yeah.
Yep. Sweet, merciful Jesus. I'm like, shoot me. No, but I wanted
I've
to.
known you for most of those, actually.
Yeah, you have, and it's been a blast, and I got nothing but love for your artistry. I got nothing but love for your outfit. Like right now, you're dressed up as Elsa in which short was that?
Olaf's Frozen
Adventure, right?
I'm dying in velvet in this Florida heat.
Oh God, no, you're not wrong. But like, you look incredible, and folks, you're going to see her photos as part of our album on Facebook.com/RavensFlock, so you'll see that. But getting back to the topic, like Star Wars has been like a huge part of like cultural psychology and like the culture of the human race for like 40 years. Mm-hmm. I'm just wondering like what your take is on it, and how you've interacted with like Star Wars fans and stuff.
Well, Star Wars has been, a big part of my life. Unfortunately, I had very little exposure to the original trilogy because of, protective parents, but I did get to see them eventually, and I did watch the prequel trilogy in theaters.
Right.
At the time, it was very cool, and, being younger, you look at it so critically, and I think a lot of that we kind of forget is there is still that magic for kids in this universe for sure, and it still has that. It's just we've gotten away from being able to look at it at that value and trying to look at ways to find things wrong with it, or
like being critical, and it's like sort of the niche thing, like the cool thing to be like cynical about Star Wars, when like at the end of the day it's like basically it kind of evolved into a modern day fairy tale that keeps like growing and stuff.
Well, I actually like to look at Star Wars as I look at it as like an H.P. Lovecraft sort of thing, and I know just bear with me here. So H.P. Lovecraft we think of as this father of eldritch horror, but actually his work is not really that good from a critical standpoint, and he's really racist. So other people have done eldritch horror better than H.P. Lovecraft.
Right.
And sometimes the interpretation of someone else's idea is better than the original creation. So sometimes we have to look and say, maybe the original might not be as good, but the things that have come from it, like all the video games that have gotten fantastic reviews, all of these offshoot novels that are literally winning awards because they're so, in depth with these characters, you only get so much from the George Lucas runs and from, now you have your new directors doing it.
Right.
You only get so much of that. But if you look at the overall universe it's spawned and the pop culture impact it's had, it's well beyond just one guy's script. It's gone so much beyond that, and I think that's what's important to focus on instead of nitpicking every little new thing that new directors or new writers decide to do.
That makes perfect sense. That I guess you got an excellent point there, Samantha. That after a while, like we're trying to grow past like the legacy that George Lucas started, and it's been handed down, like you said, other authors like Timothy Zahn and the Thrawn trilogy. You have Dave Filoni, who's doing excellent like animated TV shows, and you get so much expansion from there with the Clone Wars series and with Star Wars Rebels and Resistance, and getting all this expansion and more in-depth details on the lore and the realm of the Star Wars galaxy and all these untold stories that we're getting to see. So yeah, I can appreciate that completely, and that sort of brings us to what Episode 9 is going to bring us to, because this is being hailed as the end of the Skywalker saga. So after this, no more Luke, no more Leia, no more Anakin Skywalker, none of that stuff. The consequence to them, we're moving past that, and this is something that's that is kind of hard to like wrap our head around. It's like, what else can there be? But then we have shows like The Mandalorian coming out. When you have other live action projects coming out with the Obi-Wan story, you have the Clone Wars series coming back. We have so much more lore that we can explore. I guess it just goes to show like there's more to Star Wars than meets the eye.
I was gonna say, I'm glad you mentioned Mandalorian show. Like I haven't gotten a chance to watch it. Neither of you.
Neither have I. But I've heard good things.
No.
I haven't watched it either.
Oh, you guys
so
haven't watched
alone.
it? Oh, okay.
Sorry, but you know what?
I'm glad we're not the only ones.
So all of us are like in the same boat if we haven't spotted a single frame of the actual show, but we'll get to it eventually. But everyone's singing high praise of it so far.
Yeah, no, of course.
The only reason why I really haven't had a chance to sit down and watch it is because I haven't had a friend that's been like, "Hey, yo, you want to use my Disney Plus real quick?" That's it. I'm a little lazy on that end, so I guess I'm gonna have to get my own if I want to watch it. But it's whatever.
Jeez, I just have to do it myself.
I always gotta do things myself.
Do you have Disney Plus?
I do, yes. So I missed this past week's episode. I haven't watched it yet because I have roommates, but and I have to watch things with them. But we are mostly caught up. We love it. It's an old John Wayne Western version of Star Wars minus the racism, obviously. But
yeah, no, obviously, it's spacism, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, but I really like it. It's crack treated seriously. It's funny, but it's kind of campy, but it's perfect. Like, I really like it. It's setting out to do something and it's doing it, and I think that's all we can expect of Jon Favreau.
So it's all the right level of blend of action, of drama, of humor, and it's blending in a way that in a corner of Star Wars that we haven't had the chance to explore yet.
Yes, and honestly, one of the major points of Star Wars is the merchandise, and they are going to make so much money with Baby Yoda.
All of the money.
Listen, all the cat. Like I don't even like mess with Yoda like that, but like just this whole Baby Yoda thing. Like I learned the other day, I kid you not, my niece, she's just like 4 years younger than I am. Is like she like at the very tail end, like right before like the last two movies came out, she was like, "Hey, yo, do you know anyone who's got, like, the full box set of, like, Star Wars? I'm about to binge watch it because I just want to watch this movie." I'm like, bet, I got plenty of friends who can get that to you. I see her the other day because she's, right now, she's actually off enjoying her time in Vegas and everything.
Ooh.
But it's like I see her the other day and I peep her phone. I was like, "Is that Baby Yoda on your phone?" She's like, "Yeah, what about it?" I'm like, "Why?" I was like, "Because he's just so freaking cute." Like, you cannot tell me that Baby Yoda is not cute. I'm like, I guess.
I saw a meme online, and it was, I would burn Baby Groot alive to keep Baby Yoda warm. And honestly,
my God.
that's a mood. I think you can look at those two characters as like two opposite sides of the same coin. One doing it right and one doing it wrong. Baby Groot was obnoxious and peddled for the money only, and the merchandising. Whereas Baby Yoda, they're now struggling to keep up with the merchandising demands. And I think I read an article that said they lost like $2.75 million for not having anything really ready except for like T-shirts.
Damn.
That's why.
I mean, Disney's not hurting for the money, though. Let's be real here. That's pocket change.
But a couple million's a couple million.
Sure. I mean,
guess.
to us, but.
But you know what? That's on them for. I guess like you can sort of say that like the Lucasfilm Disney machine of we're sort of worried about what's mainstream available, not necessarily supporting the Mandalorian in the fullest extent that we probably should have.
And they wanted to keep it secret too. They wanted to keep that under wraps.
Right.
So.
Well, it's a big plot point. You don't really understand what's happening until the reveal in the first episode when you actually see him out of the little like hover egg basket, whatever the hell he's in. Like it's an egg shaped like baby basket that hovers along. So I'm like, that I guess it's kind of.
How long until Disney makes one of those? Sells that in a nursery.
They're gonna need to figure out magnetic repulsion technology first. But if they can make it for those stupid little like Death Star like table decorations, that's just a magnet hovering over, then they can come up with a strong enough magnet to hover your baby in bed without giving it cancer or something.
I believe in Disney Imagineers. I believe in them.
I can only hope that they can. I can only hope that they come through. Maybe in a couple years or so. You know what? As a matter of fact, fine. If I gotta say right now, if Disney and if Lucasfilm steal this idea from our podcast, send Samantha a check and maybe I get a royalty or something. I don't know. Because this is my show and we're we're broadcasting this.
Yeah.
But like,
You already know they're always listening.
Yep.
yeah, no, they're probably listening in on my cell phone right now. Hey, you gonna pay for my data plan? You gonna pay for this? It's $120 a month. I got 3 lines. You gonna pay for this? No? Yes? No? All right, Kathleen. Thanks.
Back in the day, we used to be scared of, wiretaps, and now we ask the wiretap
Hey,
for pancake recipes.
Hey, wiretap. Give me a recipe for banana cinnamon pancakes. Jesus had nothing to do with this one, pal.
You ain't wrong.
Are they playing Gangster's Paradise?
Wait, what?
Listen, they're playing Gangster's Paradise in the background.
Okay. So we got some buddies over on the table.
That's
next
my favorite Christmas song. I don't know about you.
Yeah, 'tis the season for Coolio.
You know what? Listen, on that one, my good old Ravenflock brethren, I got to go ahead and find the rest of my SPF squad and whatnot, because I'm fairly certain they're actually waiting for me, and I've been sitting here doing this interview, making them wait for me. So before they come down here and catch me, I'm going to go ahead and grab my sandwich. But I'm glad you guys had me here. It was good hanging out with y'all for a brief moment. The next time y'all probably see me or hear me, I'll probably be like 3 bottles into being busted.
Bro, you and me both. I'll catch you later, man.
You know what? Thank you for joining us, Switcha. You go ahead and find your friends. And anyone who hasn't downloaded SPF's music, go ahead and do so. They're awesome. And please try to pay for that music too, please. Because these guys earn that money. They appreciate it.
And also, if you're not going to pay for it, at least just show it to other people so that we can get a little bit more known. You know what I'm saying? Do us something.
Something, anything. All right. I'll check you later, man. Thanks for stopping by. Switcha, ladies and gentlemen, from Symphonic Pheenix Force.
Cosplay is absolutely
Thank
amazing.
you. Pleasure meeting you.
But yeah, we're going to go ahead and have him roll out. I guess that leaves us with Samantha and Jose here. And one thing that I'm sort of I have to say this right now. I've been keeping abreast and in the know with some of the news and spoilers that people have been saying about Episode 9, and I'm swearing right now I will not say a damn thing. But if half of the spoilers that are being reported are true, I'm going to kick some people's nads in for revealing that shit beforehand.
All I have are questions and not spoilers. Lots and lots of questions, and I'm sure everybody has questions too.
Okay.
My main question, based on the trailers, because
Just a minute. How much do you know so far, Samantha?
I've read no spoilers, pretty much. Just speculation, honestly. I mean, I think the trailers are keeping very purposely vague.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people have seen the lack of Kylo Ren in those trailers as a sort of
like
spoiler
in full
in
helmet
themselves.
Kylo Ren, you mean?
Yeah, we just haven't seen much of him, so I think that they're doing that on purpose.
So they're trying to keep information away by not showing, Adam Driver in the full helmet with the red, hot glue his Kylo Ren helmet back together.
That or just, I mean, they really haven't shown him much at all. I'm just a lot of people are split on what they're doing with his arc. And I think that, honestly, how they handle, Rey is obviously important, she's the main character. But I think how they handle Kylo Ren's arc is going to make or break this film for a lot of people.
Right. Yeah, no, and from what we're seeing so far, just in the shots in the commercials and in the trailers, Rey is going to be doing some pretty big, crazy stuff. People are sort of joshing on this one clip they showed that was in commercials of Rey, Finn, Poe, BB-8, and C-3PO running away from First Order troopers on a hovercraft in the desert, and they're launching jet troopers off of their desert tread mountain bikes or whatever, and they're launching them off of jetpacks. And you see C-3PO. Oh, they fly now, Finn. They fly now, Poe Dameron. They fly now.
They fly now.
Okay, that's dumb humor, and that's J.J. Abrams style of humor. But you know what? I give a giggle on that. They're surprised. But other than that, and other than what they're showing in the trailers, they're leaving a lot out. But they did release something on Instagram. I'm not gonna give you in on it, but let me just say, it was nothing but Kylo Ren exploring a place, and you hear a voiceover. I'm not gonna say what it is because I'll let you look for it for yourself if you feel like looking for it. But if the implication of what the voiceovers is saying is true, you're also gonna flip your lid.
Yeah.
So all I know is that this is gonna be a big climactic giant smorgasbord of a battle.
I'm just gonna level with you here. I am not in the support Kylo Ren camp. I think he should be a villain. I think he should remain a villain, and I don't believe that he should have a redemption arc. And that is my personal preference. I know a lot of people, especially ladies and people who like men.
Folks are like jumping for Reylo stuff.
I mean, I'm not going to get into that. But just even in the sense of wanting Kylo to be redeemed, I don't think that he personally is.
Redeemable?
Except for maybe in the same sense as Vader, where it's on a dying breath. Because there's just too much that's happened that I don't think that it speaks to the message of Star Wars to redeem someone like that.
After all he's done.
So,
like I actually got the impression at the end of The Last Jedi that that Kylo Ren is going to be in a position where he's like got a sword of Damocles situation.
Mm-hmm.
He's the head of the First Order now. He is in charge. His army is raining fire on the galaxy and taking over. But what was the first thing that General Hux did when he saw Kylo Ren? He was about to pull his fucking blaster out of his pocket and shoot him dead.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment he saw that he was still alive, like, oh, no, I'm going to put that away. And you see him just glaring and sneering at him in the background when he's not being thrown like a bitch for comedic relief. But you see, like, okay, there is no way that I'm going to follow this guy for long.
Mm-hmm. That
I'm over here thinking that it'd be more like internal strife in the First Order, like denying Kylo Ren the rule just because he was Snoke's dark side successor.
Yes.
So I always imagined that was going to be a factor, but it doesn't look like that's going to be a problem. It looks like he's actually got everything under control, but it's more like because the First Order and that Imperial mechanism is sort of autonomous at that point. It doesn't really matter who's in charge as long as their message of conquest and destruction keeps going.
Yeah. I mean, the neo-Nazi take on this, the allegory, that sort of juxtaposition that we're getting between the two sides. Obviously, I think that it's kind of obvious that is the message they're trying to send. Is they're trying to show these people as the new Nazis, they're looking at what was done before and thinking that was great. Let's do that again, but more. And, all of the cleansing of the space in this case instead of genocide of, eugenics. But the point is that I think that the person that wanted to take that over and be essentially king of the universe, who stabbed his own father with a lightsaber, spoilers, I don't think that that's a redeemable character, and it actually kind of bothers me. It really truly bothers me that people are talking this up, because if I watch this movie and we get a Kylo Ren redemption arc and suddenly he's the good guy and they bring in Palpatine and he's the ultimate bad guy, and then, Kylo decides, no, I don't want to follow that guy. I'm going to, be a force for good. I don't think that I can take that narratively. I don't think that sends a good message. I think that's a really troubling message in today's day and age, honestly.
No, I completely agree. And going back to the earlier point on Kylo Ren, I actually agree with Samantha. Contrary to what others might believe, I don't think Kylo Ren should be redeemed at this point.
Thank you. You're like the only person that I've ever heard say that.
But I know what Kylo Ren will do.
Oh, no.
He's going to finish what he started.
Give me that! Give me that! Give me that microphone.
He took his sunglasses off when he said that, too. The delivery was very CSI Miami.
Actually, like reverse, because CSI Miami, he's putting on the sunglasses
and
then delivering the punchline.
Mm-hmm.
Go right ahead. Thank you.
Juan, you're welcome.
You shut. That was bad. Thank you. Please go ahead and join us. You'll be catching this podcast on Monday here. Thank you very much for taking that flyer. But I get exactly what you mean. He's irredeemable. He's a freaking monster. Mm-hmm. He's over here killing people left and right. What the trouble that people are trying to get beyond is the first thing that he's expressing immediately after shanking his dad. You actually see the emotion on it. He drops. Mm-hmm. He's not feeling like the straight of the dark. He just feels like, okay, that sucked. Mm-hmm. what the hell did I just do? It's like he didn't get the reward that he thought he would when he killed his
struggled
dad.
with that decision, and that's, but I think it was because of selfishness. I don't think it was because he's not a bad guy. I mean, we know from the flashbacks and Luke's version of events versus Kylo's version of events that some stuff went down that would have pushed Kylo in that direction, but it was still his choice which way
Everything
to
after
go.
that.
And he made some pretty bad choices.
Yeah.
Becoming the laser sword mouthpiece of the neo-Nazi order of space is definitely not on the list of good choices.
Yeah, no. He's like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead. Like, he's basically born as space royalty for the most part. His mom and dad helped save the galaxy, and his uncle is like the Skywalker, the last Jedi. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to do all of that, but reverse. That's a smart idea.
And I think that speaks to the Star Wars legacy of reversing the polarities of these chosen ones. I mean, that's always kind of been the thing. Like, Luke is the actual chosen one, but Anakin thought Anakin was the chosen one, and turned out he was just the exact opposite, like the Antichrist.
Kind of, yeah.
So that's just that coming back to us in another loop, I think. And in this case, it's just Rey being the counterpoint to that.
So I guess the question at this point that we're going to be answering in The Rise of Skywalker, I hope, is how do we break that cycle of like Antichrist, Christ figure, or like every man, hero of 1,000 faces as Luke Skywalker, and then you have the anti-Luke as in Ben Solo and Kylo Ren. Like, how do we break that?
I think the answer was ending the Skywalker line, and I think that's how they are answering it by saying the end of the Skywalker legacy is now. I mean, if it's one family messing everything up, maybe you got to take one for the team.
Then why would they call it the Rise of Skywalker? Isn't, like, if this is the end of the Skywalkers, how is it rising? Wow, what
Rising
the hell are they
to
doing?
mythology. They're just
Like-
legends at this point.
Just like the expanded universe is just legends now. Ugh.
Rip.
Ah.
Yeah.
We'll find out. That's your biggest question. I have a big question, and everyone already knows this because we saw it in the clips. We heard it. How?
Oh, Palpatine?
How
Yeah.
is Palpatine still
Honestly,
alive and on life support?
This was literally, I read somewhere that this was just George Lucas being like, I've always wanted to bring Palpatine back. And then the other screenwriters were like, yeah, sure, let's go ahead and do that. It seems so last minute slapdash. Oh my God, we're not doing well. Let's bring back something from the old movies to make it feel like it's, more nostalgic. I'm interested to see how they're going to make this work with the screenplay, because to me, I think they're jumping through a lot of hoops.
No, I think I understand what you mean with that. That they're banking on nostalgia. They're banking on like, oh hey, this is the ultimate bad guy all along. Like, but we saw him fall down a fiery pit of doom.
Yeah.
Like, how is he the ultimate bad guy still?
I mean, I can't be the only one who thought that Snoke was going to be Darth Plagueis. Like, I can't be the only one. And when that didn't happen, I was honestly at a loss. I mean, I felt kind of the same way I felt when I watched actual episode 2, where they threw in Count Dooku. And it was so obvious that there was supposed to be a thread of Jar Jar something or other, and that got dropped. And it just, you give me this person out of nowhere. Dooku came out of nowhere, and it's honestly lazy story writing, and I feel like they're doing it again, but at least they're consistent.
Well, yeah, I guess they can get points for consistency, but on the other hand, like, they're leaving us with a giant gap of how does this make sense? I would actually be more impressed if they managed to have this Rise of Skywalker ending without Palpatine actually being alive. Maybe he has a relic where, like, because you have the novels of the new continuity showing that Palpatine, he had this grand contingency where you have it in, like, the Battlefront 2 video game where he actually has satellites at some planets and, like, okay, this empire has failed me. It deserves to die. If anyone survives, you go and find my power here in the unknown regions and shit. That's where they run into Snoke. The remnants of the empire didn't know where they were. They were being, like, killed and eaten alive and shit. And Snoke, who's from the unknown region, is like, hey, buddies, I can help you. All you need to do is give me absolute complete control. Why should we trust you, Darkseid? Give this man our entire flotilla, all of our ships, all of our stormtroopers. Give this bald giant Andy Serkis motherfucker all of it. Why? Because we won't die, and they didn't.
Yeah.
It's kind of fucked up. But like he just like took advantage of a vulnerable Imperial remnant, and that's where the First Order came in. They came in, and they're basically a pack of rabid dogs now. The Empire was a well-oiled machine, but it's also governance. But like the only thing the First Order was focused on was fucking all of the shit up. That's all they wanted, and there was like no clear mission. So I agree with you. Slapdashing Palpatine at the end of that, like what?
Whiplash.
Give me to
Kinda
that.
felt
Exactly.
forced, yeah.
Joe.
No, but
What did you
the
say?
No, I was just saying like that kind of felt a little forced. Now, one character that I am happy to who came back, Lando Calrissian.
Lando, but you know
After
what?
watching Solo, where they portrayed younger Lando.
Like okay, I love Danny Glover. I mean, yeah,
Donald Glover.
Donald Glover. No,
Danny Glover is Lethal Weapon, man.
I meant to say Donald Glover. Shit, but like I get what you mean, and he did good as young Lando. So seeing old Lando, but I never really expected or really needed Lando to return. He's like a pimp daddy hustler in the galaxy. Like he's got a million different planets that he stole or gambled away from people. It's like he's over here like, okay, you guys want to blow each other up with planets and the Force, you do that. I gotta go make myself a space margarita. I'm good. Leave me out of it.
Right.
But I guess it's fine. Whatever. I don't know what the hell he's gonna do, but you better believe he ain't gonna last.
Right.
It's just not gonna happen. He's not gonna live. I'm sorry.
No.
Lando should have stayed retired. Lando should have stayed gone because he earned his victory after the second Death Star blowing up, and that's it. That's all he needed.
Samantha, do you agree?
I mean, I think, again, this is Disney capitalizing on nostalgia.
Right.
I think that they had limited characters that they could pull on because Star Wars has always been centered around, a trio, mostly, and some
Han, Luke, and Leia.
side helpy characters. And, I mean, what's been consistent through the entirety of the series, C-3PO and R2-D2, very merchandisable. So you have these characters that are, you can make merchandise out of them. So there's two things that Star Wars looks at when they're putting a character into the film, and it is merchandisability and nostalgia factor, at least for nowadays.
You got to give big ups to Mel Brooks, who basically spelled it out in Spaceballs. Merchandising, where the real money of the movie gets made.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I guess that's sort of, at the end of the day, what it was meant for. Like, you can't really fault Lucas at the beginning when he started all that he was like hell-bent on keeping those merchandising rights, so that was how he's going to keep his company alive. He didn't realize it was going to become a juggernaut, and it's become this monstrosity of marketing that it is now, but I guess it is what it is at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, no, like at the end of the day, though, whatever winds up happening with these movies, I want to see a couple of things. I want to see Finn show off being like, okay, he's done being the runaway and all this stuff. He made his choice. He's sticking with the good guys. And like when you see him, like even in The Force Awakens and with any sort of weapon in his hand, he's a crack shot. He's a badass. He took down Captain Phasma, even though she's like a foot taller than him, and he took her down like nobody's business. Like he's a badass in his own right. And he's clearly had more balls than brains when he decided, you know what, I'm going to take this space Excalibur here, and I'm going to try and fight the anti-Luke. And I'm going to try and fight him because why not? I need to survive. And he got his ass handed to him, but he's got balls.
I agree. I love Finn as a character, and it actually frustrates me a little that they seem to be shoving him into all of these half-baked romances, because one thing that Star Wars has never done well is romance.
No.
Even the Han and Leia, I love you, I know. Iconic, yes. Good writing, debatable.
I don't know if you may recall or if it's ever been explained. Lucas originally wrote I Love You Too. Director Irving Kershner and Harrison Ford were trying like crazy on the day to do I Love You and I Love You Too and make it sound right. And they just threw their hands up. You know what, Harrison? You just come up with something. Whatever. Action. That I know came from Harrison Ford. Yeah, I know came from Harrison Ford, and it's all his fault. But it actually makes a little more sense out of him because, like, he's he's not going to go off and be on an emotional limb even when he's that scared. He's about to be frozen in carbonite. And she says it for both of them. And he's like, I know, I understand. I love, like, he doesn't feel that, like, that it needs to be said that I love you too. But on the other hand, it's like, yeah, it's like, it's even argued in, like, the expanded universe novels. Leia's actually, like, thinking to herself, like, can this motherfucker not be bothered to say one more word? What's the difference between I know and I love you? Like, back. Like, it's just one word. What is wrong with this idiot? He is such an asshole. But she winds up loving him anyways. Go figure.
I was gonna say, didn't Leia use the same line in Return of the Jedi?
They used the same line in Return of the Jedi. They flipped it around. Is that any different, or?
I mean, honestly, I just think that this Star Wars should just stop with the romance, or develop the romances that you've actually put time into. I mean, think about it. You have the only reason why we even get any modicum of romance is because we know that Luke and Leia have to be a thing. So they made, Padme and Anakin, which anyway.
Like, literally, we were in our hotel room earlier here, and on TNT, they're marathoning the Star Wars movies. We're in the middle of watching Episode 2, and Kay Storm's in there with us, and right when they're kissing as they're leaving into the execution arena, and Padme's telling him that she loves him, Kay Storm shouted at the top of her lungs, "Dumbest decision ever!
Yeah.
You stupid woman! You dumb bitch!"
I mean, Obi-Wan Kenobi was right there. He was right there.
Yeah, but you spent more time with Anakin, and you actually bring me to another point. Something that I actually postulated with Jose and with Kay Storm with Angel as we were discussing this shit in Episode 3, when Padme confronts Anakin on Mustafar, and Obi-Wan pops up out of her ship. You see Anakin, he's hollering, "You're with him! You brought him here to kill." Like, that is the, "You're cheating on me, you're with him." And I'm like, is that something they were trying to imply, or what the fuck? Like, that would have actually made it kind of spicy.
Yeah, but
Would have. And I'm trying to remember that conversation. Like, how long ago was this?
It was only a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
I think that this particular, it's almost like they tried to get better at it and then just realized that they just weren't any better at it, and then they don't know what to do with it. Because, I mean, Finn was making hard eyes at Rey, and which, fair, okay. And then, Finn is
Finn's
making...
got zero social skills, man.
Well, sure, but you can do that with friendship and admiration. They're giving us this situation where it seems like, romance-coded, that people are reading it that way. And then you get Finn and Poe, which is honestly the best developed romance that Disney didn't have the balls to go through with. Thank you, Oscar Isaac, for calling them out at every fucking turn. That man's my hero.
For the record, I friendship them more than, like, romantic, but, like, it's more like...
Oscar Isaac ships them. He literally got on national television and said Disney didn't have the balls to make us gay.
No. It was confirmed by Oscar Isaacs, and I do agree. There's more chemistry between the two of them than there is with Finn and Rose.
Yes, Rose came out of nowhere. I love her as a character. She's so cool as a character, but that they shoved her into this random romance with Finn that kind of came out of nowhere was honestly a disservice to her and to his characters.
Like, I can understand that, and I understand what that means. For me, I always saw, like, the thing with Rose showing up. It's more dealing with the story of Finn's decision of whether or not he's going to keep being a runaway and being a coward, or if he's going to stand for something. And then you have Benicio del Toro's character saying, like, "Hey, I'm living on my own. I'm making money. I don't care. Just do what I do. Just, like, fuck everything else. Whatever." And Rose, being the adorable cinnamon roll who must be protected at all costs, being like, "No, stand for something. You've got the skills, and people respect you. We will follow you if you do this shit." And it's more like her falling, like, out of, like, and I get that, like, that was kind of ham-handed, like her giving him the little the middle school peck on the lips. It's like, what? And even Finn's like, what?
Yeah.
You see, he's like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. I gotta save this kid. She saved my life. Whatever.
It felt like that was just random.
It was like they were like, wait, we need some romance in here, and then someone somewhere had a script that had the Finn Poe romance, and they were like, but China, money, can't do gay stuff. And then they got on their knees for China, which is something that Disney really needs to stop doing, because if we learn anything from Blizzard, it's that at a certain point, someone's going to look at you and be like, are we really supporting communism? Because it sounds like you're supporting communism.
Yeah, no. Me and Juan, we've detailed enough about the situation with Hong Kong and Blizzard, so we know exactly what you're talking about.
Right. Well, I think that we need to address as well. Disney has been doing the same thing. Marvel, same thing. They make special scenes in their films. Like they had a scene with Fan Bingbing just for China for Iron Man 3.
Yeah, like I actually brought that up, and they also had the actor who played the heart surgeon in there, that he meets him in the beginning, and then the guy does his procedure at the end. There was literally one scene, and you can describe this as China's great, China's great, China's great, I'm Iron Man, China's great, flies off. China's great, as he's flying away.
They want that Chinese money.
Like, it's really ham-handed. You're right about that. And we actually sort of brought this up in another issue. I'm looking at this dude. He's dressed up as Christmas Joaquin Phoenix Joker, and I'm over here remembering the fucking Joker movie made $1 billion without China. So
Surprising.
It's possible it can be done. You just have to have courage and conviction. So yeah, I guess shipping Finn and Poe as as more than just bromance, as being a couple, that can be done. People will throw their hands up in the air, but you know what? I ain't all too...
bigots will throw their hands up in the air, and I do not worry about the opinions of bigots, frankly.
Neither do I. They can shove it up their ass for all I care, but you know what? On the one hand, it would work if they were a gay couple. On the other hand, it works okay even if they're not, because they're still like the bromance of buddy cop movie style. I'm seeing
yeah, but that's like been done. Like that's my everyone every time anyone brings up, oh well, they have such good chemistry, they make a good couple, the counterpoint to that, usually by straight men, is, oh well, it's good for them to be friends because we need to see like good non-toxic male friendships, buddy cop friendships. And it's like, yeah, but how many movies already have that?
I guess you're right.
All of them.
I guess you're right about that. I'm not trying to make that as like a conscious argument in that shit. I'm just over here it works both ways.
Yeah.
So
that's why a romance would work.
It works both ways. Yeah.
That's why a romance with them would work, is because they have a relationship built on organic chemistry.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So you know what? I'll concede that. They should have made Finn and Poe gay. And that's fine. I would have been cool with it, and it would have been badass.
Oscar Isaac said he played it as a romance, so I'm reading it as a romance.
Oh no, it would have been great, and it wouldn't hurt the new Star Wars movies. In fact, I think it would make the Star Wars movies a bit more watchable.
It would thin out the theaters a little bit from all the bigots. I don't want them in my theaters anyway. Maybe I could actually get tickets opening night.
It would certainly do that. But no.
That was one thing that I definitely want to see. I wanted to see more Finn being a badass. What the hell are we going to do with Rey? Oh my God, what the hell?
No, there is a question I do want to address, and this is based on the events that I saw from The Last Jedi, because we have seen new abilities that have been shown through the Force, with Luke projecting himself in another place, using his power.
The new game shows some new stuff too.
Yeah, so...
That's the Fallen Order game, right?
Yeah. And I haven't clicked on any news links, but I saw that there's speculation that they're gonna show more new abilities that are gonna be revealed through the Force in the Rise of Skywalker. I'm just curious to see what they might be.
Maybe, I don't know. We know that there's gonna be visions and stuff because we saw the Dark Ray in that, so there's definitely gonna be Force visions and stuff. There is one idea that they were sort of throwing out as a rumor, oh, they're gonna have Flash Step like in Bleach. You have what's his face, Byakuya Kuchiki and Yoruichi, how they're super lightning fast or whatever. That maybe Rey and Kylo Ren are gonna have anime style super speed force fights or whatever.
See, and I think that takes away from George Lucas's original vision, which fine, you don't have to stick to the vision, but right. I think it's you can tell Disney's got their grubby hands all over this, because in the originals, Lucas was very focused on, my actors should be actually fighting. I don't want stunt doubles for as much of it as possible, because I want you to see the emotions. It's not about the battle. It is about the battle of these characters, what they're going through. That is what is important. And so I think making the battles flashy and, that lightning set, I think that is a step away from not the legacy of Star Wars, but the heart of Star Wars. what
Right.
you really are trying to convey with Star Wars, which is an emotional story at its core. It's not sci-fi. Star Wars is not sci-fi.
It's
It is
space opera
high
and high
fantasy.
Exactly. Like another person, an argument can be made that perhaps, like with the fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan in Episode 3, that since that was super fast and super flashy, that maybe that was stepping far. But I would disagree on that because it actually still Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor going badass and practicing for months and actually going at speed on those fights, and you still have emotionality between the two of them, and you still have like there's a bit where you have Obi-Wan. Like they both lost their lightsabers, so what does Anakin do? He just charges at Obi-Wan while they're on top of like a conference table. Obi-Wan kicks him in the nards and he like drop kicks him or whatever. And they're just like fighting hand to hand. You see him like there's the smash cut of Anakin grabbing Obi-Wan by the wrist and then choking him with his robo hand.
Yeah.
So I'm over here like, oh snap, he's actually gonna tear his neck off.
Yeah.
I agree that this sort of like anime action Dragon Ball Z style fight, that's not Star Wars.
No.
Like it's exaggerating on the wrong aspects of the fight.
If they want to evolve the abilities of the Force in the new Star Wars movie, that's great. But yeah, no. Going back to what you said, like, but if they do it like anime, like DBZ style, or like overexpose it, like do it too much, I think that would distract from the original story.
So yeah, like in the original trilogy, each part of the Force we saw different powers. In the very first, we see the Jedi mind trick, and we see Luke using the Force to throw the torpedo into the Death Star. And you also see Obi-Wan like tricking Sand People and tricking stormtroopers in the Death Star. Like, oh, there's a noise over there. In Empire Strikes Back, we see telekinesis. We see visions in the Force. We see like movement and stuff, but nothing like super like Superman flying. But then we get to Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. You see Luke, he's sort of he's doing acrobatic jumping. You see more telekinesis, and then you see Force lightning from the Emperor. So in each movie, you see a new power. In the prequels, we had more like Superman Force telekinesis jumping around and speed, but nothing too new from there. And then you had visions from Anakin in his dreams, and you see the Force talk to him, and you see that intensified in Episode 3. We get to the Force Awakens. We see the tactile telepathy when Rey touches the lightsaber, and then you see, and of course, you see Kylo Ren freezing laser blasts in midair and brain raping people.
That was cool.
Also, you see
the laser blast.
Also, the one thing that sort of caught me by surprise was when you have him trying to interrogate Rey, and he winds up accidentally downloading the Force for Dummies into her brain when she fights back. So you see that, and those are new Force abilities. And then in The Last Jedi, we have the projection, and we have we just have the projection. Everything else we've seen before. And each new movie
what about the
brought
bridging between the two minds?
Yeah, the bridging of minds.
Yeah, where Rey saw Kylo Ren with his shirt off, which is obvious fan service.
Get that out. All right, but what like obviously we don't want DBZ. What sort of Force power would you want to see, Samantha?
I mean, I think it's less about the Force power and just more about, I'd like a cohesive narrative. I don't care about these fancy Force powers. That's cool, but that's what the games are for, so you can play with it. You can, do whatever you want with it. You can build your own lightsaber. You can do all that stuff. Like, this isn't, Build-A-Bear for a movie. I do that when I'm playing an MMO of Star Wars. I don't need that in the films. I'm there for the narrative. I'm there for the story, and that's what I want. I want them to put effort and time and good, true thought into the story that they're telling. And so I think that the problem is maybe the focus has drifted away from that, and that might make the movie suffer a little bit, and that makes me slightly sad. So anyway, I'm going to get out of here, but
right, you found
I appreciate that you guys had me on, and it's been wonderful hanging out with you guys.
Thank you for being here with us. We miss you. We love you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
You do look incredible, and of course, we'll plug you in whatever social media, I guess. I don't know. We'll make sure that your photo goes front and center. Thanks for joining us.
Yay, you have fun, okay?
Thanks for killing time with us over here.
Alrighty, so I guess it's just a party of 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
I hate you. I end this party. Blah.
But
All right, but you know what?
interesting points were made, and I think that, on that regard, I do agree. Like, if they're going to show another ability within the Force, I don't think that's something that needs to be overexposed. I think that they need to just focus on the regular narrative, on the regular story, and that's something that I would like to expect. One of the things I would like to expect from the
Not
Rise
so
of
much
Skywalker.
a regular narrative, but just like focusing on the narrative and the story.
Well, yeah, and sorry, I didn't word myself correctly. Focus on the narrative,
Right.
and not overexpose something that will distract.
All right.
So,
Yeah, I totally get where Samantha was coming from. I totally understand what Switcha was saying here, and I just can't wait.
no,
I'm terrified. I'm scared of what's going to happen because, like I said, I've been actually keeping up with the spoilers, and they're terrifying.
the last time I was terrified of an upcoming movie was, and at the same time I was also excited because it turned out to be my favorite movie in the Star Wars saga was Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
True. The only thing was that with Episode 3, we all knew what was going to happen because it was the end of the prequel trilogy.
We knew
And
what was
we
going to
knew
happen. We didn't
that
know
this was it, that
how.
this was Luke. This was Vader being born. The dark side wins, and it's evil prevailing. So we knew this was going to happen. The question was how.
Yeah, the how part was.
But you know what?
But regardless, on the subject of the Rise of Skywalker, I can't wait to see this movie. I can't wait to see how they're going to finish the Skywalker saga. Your thoughts?
My thoughts is this has been a journey. This has been a journey that we've been going on for 42 years, man. And I can't help but wonder what the future holds for Star Wars. And I hope that what this film does is, rather than continue to divide people, that it would finally, in some way, unite us in a way that can bring the fandom together and stop arguing with each other like a pack of little babies. And I'm hoping that some of y'all are actually listening and saying, yeah, we agree with you, Juan. We agree with the Ravens flock. We want to reunite the Star Wars fandom.
Juancho, obviously we agree with you because you're obviously
No, you
speaking
don't.
on the.
You don't agree with me.
You're speaking on behalf of
No, you
common
don't.
sense.
Yeah, but common sense is a superpower now. It's uncommon.
Unfortunately, you are right. That is a paradox in itself. Common sense is uncommon these days, especially with the Star Wars fandom. And asking for them to actually get off their high horses and actually appreciate something, that's asking a little bit too much because there's always, in every fandom, in every franchise, there's always going to be these negative people who are going to nitpick, just as,
with any
was
luck-
previously discussed.
With any
Hey,
luck,
what's up, guys? How's it going? But go on.
with any luck, the Star Wars saga will conclude in a way that's satisfying to everyone. That's reaffirming to the faith of the belief of, one person can make a difference, of you don't have to be special, like from any family to be a hero. But most importantly, we appreciate, go right ahead. Hi. We're talking about Star Wars Episode 9 coming up. Did you want to say anything about it?
The Rise of Skywalker.
Just I'm excited about it.
So you're excited about it? Cool. All right.
Yeah, we're all excited.
Are you big? How big? Are you a big fan of of Star Wars? Like how much have you been following along with the stories?
Just been watching all of the movies since I was a kid.
All right. Which one did you start with? Like the original trilogy, or which one did you start with?
I started with the original.
That's cool. That's cool. So did we, and we started off with that and with Special Edition. And as the movies kept rolling out, we just loved Star Wars even more. Is there anything specific that you're looking forward to in Episode 9?
Just hoping that maybe Rey can save Han Solo's son from the darkness.
You know what? Like maybe it'll happen. We don't know.
Maybe.
Like,
we don't know.
He at this point he kind of seems almost too far gone, but that might happen. How do you think how do you figure it might go through?
I mean, based off the trailer, it's obvious that Rey would like to save the last Skywalker line.
No.
That's something I think that might be doable, but like, well, I guess we're gonna have to see what
We'll have
happens.
to see, but yeah, no, we can't wait till the Rise of Skywalker comes out. Also, I'm digging the ears. It looks cool on you. I like it.
Thank you very. Yeah.
Yay! Nice.
That
I
is
like
cool.
that.
Actually, thank you very
All right.
much for jumping in real quick, and we are gonna actually have this out on Monday,
Yep.
so you'll be
But
listening.
yeah,
in
enjoy
November.
Holmat. Have fun. Party.
Thank you very much. What was your name again, by the way? I don't think we caught your name.
Sarah.
Sarah. Thank you, Sarah. Thank
Pleasure
you for
meeting you,
joining
Sarah.
us. Jumping in.
Yep.
A random
All right.
attendee. Her name is Sarah. She jumped in. She has a different view than Samantha. She wants to see a redemption of
Yeah,
Kylo
you
Ren.
saw me looking for a second, right?
But you know what? That's fine.
Yeah, it's okay.
Some people want the redemption. Some people don't.
well,
And it's fine to want that, but like there has to be a good story reason for it to happen either way.
no, of course.
So whatever winds up coming through, we'll see from there.
And I think that about wraps it up. I think we've already went into detail enough about the Rise of Skywalker. So, yeah, Juancho, want to plug us away?
You're just hungry. Shut up. Don't look at me like that.
Well, I do have a bowl of mac and cheese waiting for me.
Shut up. All right. You get on out of here, Jose. All right, folks. That's going to wrap us up over here. Thank you very much for listening in to the Uncensored Interview and Review podcast of the Ravens Flock, the Black Files. Continue to follow us on Facebook.com/the Ravens Flock, Twitter.com/Ravens Flock 13, Instagram.com/the Ravens Flock online. And of course, subscribe to us, give us thumbs up, hit the notification bell, leave us comments on YouTube.com/the Ravens Flock, home of Los Amigos Play, the Black Files, and the Ravens Flock. Thank you once again for listening in to our Uncensored Interview and Review podcast. This has been the Black Files, and may the Force be with you always.